Hi, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Today. I'm your host, Tom Bartee, and today our guest is Mr. Mark Bauder, who is the President, CEO, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer of Wheeler-Sonoma Printing in Vallejo. Welcome.
Thank you.
So that's an interesting name, Wheeler-Sonoma Printers. Is there a history behind that name?
Yes, there is. That came about when I purchased the Wheeler Printing from Rita Burke, and that was in 2007. So we had Wheeler Printing, which started in 1940, and an offshoot of that was Sonoma Printers. And my father had bought Sonoma Printers in 1964 when he first moved to Vallejo. And so I wanted to keep both names because we were both pretty well-known established businesses. So that's where the Wheeler-Sonoma came in.
I had the good fortune to have met your dad maybe once or twice, and he seemed like a really incredible guy.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, well, I mean, being his son, you know, you had your moments too, but...
yes, just like any father and son. So.
But he had some cool things that he did with, like humorous business cards, and I know now you have these nearly indecipherable, minuscule notepads that you offer, and it's great to see some of the creativity that comes out of the printing business rather than just, you know, let's do 1,000 copies and get it out.
Yes, I had the good fortune of growing up in the printing business, and I saw a lot of the different things that were done. And my father was instrumental in doing a lot of different things. He created scratch pads, which was pads of money with a cover on them, and we used them for gifts and stocking stuffers. And that came about after a visit from a man in Palo Alto. Came in the shop and set a bag full of money on the counter and asked my father to do something with it, put it in books. So he put a cover on it, said handy scratch pad, and padded them up, and they've been used for gifts ever since. And as far as the gift or the cards, he kept on making those up until the time that he passed. Because he had a printing press in his garage. So, and whatever thought would come up, he would put on. For instance, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional. That was one of his.
I think I may have been caught in that one.
Yes.
Personally, but, you know, I think it's important to continue to try to think young.
Absolutely.
And, you know, help keep you younger.
Yes.
Of course, I'm not old enough to deal with that yet. I'm just a young whippersnapper, especially compared to a lot of people I spend time with.
Yes, you just hang out with old people, and then you find that you're the youngster in the crowd. Well, hey, makes you feel better.
Well, you know, for years, I worked for General Mills for many years, and for years, I was the youngest one in the room in the meetings and conventions and all that.
Right.
But it's just the opposite now. So it's an interesting perspective.
Yes, well, that's what happens when you grow older.
Yeah, and I hope to grow older someday.
Someday you will.
Mature someday.
Someday, well, I don't know about maturing, but
yeah, speak about
you will get older.
Speak about maturing. Apparently, you are a former Commodore of the famous Vallejo Yacht Club.
Yes, I am. And my official title now is Commodore for Life. And anyone that has become a Commodore, that is a title that's bestowed on them after they've gone through their office. So, yes. And that is one of the jewels of Vallejo. The club started in 1900. It was started as the Vallejo Rowing Club, and we got our charter, and we've been going strong ever since. Our membership now is up to about 350 members. Our harbor is full. We're having our Great Vallejo race which is the oldest inland race in the United States. And that's going to be run the last weekend of April 28th and 29th. So if you want to see a whole lot of boats in a real small area, well, it makes our harbor look small when it's full. We pack them in like sardines, but they'll be coming up the channel on the 28th. First ones will be arriving somewhere between 3 and 3:30, and they'll come in until all the boats come in. And usually we have 200, 250 boats participating. At one time it was even larger than that. In the 80s we had upwards of 500 boats participating in that race.
Yeah, but like everything else, the Great Recession had a chance to reduce the number of active boat owners in the Bay Area.
It took its toll.
Yeah. So I'll have to say that I wish the city of Vallejo would embrace the importance and significance of the Great Vallejo Race more than they do. You know, in the boating arena, and I've sailed and been around to most of the marinas in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
The Vallejo Race is, if not the premier race of the year, it's like the spring opener.
Yes.
It's in the top 5 anyway.
Right, and there's people from all over the Bay that participate in that race, and they find it as one of the most enjoyable races around. Yeah. Because we put on a great party, live music, dancing, food, all will be open to the public on that day. Our doors will be open, so if you want to come down and see.
So it's the last weekend in April, 28
Yep.
and 29.
Yes, it is.
And the race actually starts near Treasure Island, or where does it start?
Alcatraz. It starts out by Alcatraz.
Oh, by Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Okay.
We start over there, and
That's crazy.
Well, there's a we put a buoy out there, and we have the starting boat. So there's 300 plus or 250 boats trying to jockey for position, and so it's nice to have a big area to start them.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that there are people that are in the race that haven't registered. And so you
Yes.
probably have way more boats than you think.
Yes, yes.
One guy I was with one year, you know how many boaters like to think that they're, the best boater on the bay, the best captain, the
Yes.
best skipper. Anyway, this guy was one of those guys. And, some of the boats are really serious, and some of them are like beer can race. So this guy was a beer can type skipper, but still he thought he was great. So we get up to the downwind leg where everybody pops up their spinnaker with the wind is right.
Sure.
And we come around Point Pinole.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave me the sail, and I just, I did my work as a crew member. There was the 2 of us on the boat. And that's where the race boat was taking pictures, because they sell pictures later.
Yes, they do.
So it wasn't until the race was over, we were back at the yacht club looking at the board of pictures, that we looked at it and we realized, wait a minute, our spinnaker is on upside down. And not everybody knows what a spinnaker is, and so this guy was normally a penny pincher, but out of embarrassment he bought the picture so nobody else would see it. and so at the yacht club, you've got all kinds of boats, sailboats, power boats. Do you know what the mix is? Or mostly sail?
Right now we are mostly sail, but we don't discriminate against any boats. There's a misconception that it's just sailboats, and that's not true. We have people that are actually extended stay people that live on their boats down there, and it's much more comfortable to live in a trawler than it is in a sailboat. So there's a lot of trawlers down there. We have a Learn to Sail program that is available to the public, and that happens in the summertime. There's 2 different sessions that take place, and we've had sailors starting as young as 8 to 10 and going as old as the early 70s participate in that program. And it's a great program, teaches all the basics of sailing, all the knots that you need to tie, the nomenclature, that sort of thing. And like I said, it's available to the public. It's, I believe, an 8-week course, and all the instructors are certified.
So they start out with smaller boats like
Picos. Picos and lasers. And they have one sail in the center of it, and be prepared to get wet.
Well, which is part of the fun anyway.
It is. It is.
The Yacht Club has also some social activities.
Yes.
And there may be some other educational opportunities, but also they have regular Wednesday night series.
Yes, Wednesday night beer can races, and they're going to begin the first week of April, and they wind up in October. So every Wednesday you'll see the boats out there starting at 6 o'clock, and we race. We have various race courses around the bay. And they're usually about an hour and a half, 2-hour races. And we hopefully this year will have approximately 30 boats participating.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
And so the course configuration depends on the wind at that date, or?
No, it depends on the race committee. And they're supposed to take into account how the wind is. And sometimes they nail it, and sometimes they don't. But yes, it changes. Never the same course twice. It's not supposed to be. And we have our various club markers around the bay. I don't know if you've been on the ferry and you've gone along the seawall. You'll see a little marker out there, and it's yellow. And it says VYC on it, and so that's one of our club markers, and there's a couple of them around. And we use center pier on the bridge, the buoy that's out there, as you look down, the red and the green buoy. We use that as one of our marks as well. So,
is it the PYA, Pacific Yachting?
PICYA.
Pacific Inland Yachting?
Pacific Interclub Yachting Association.
Interclub Yachting Association.
Yes.
And they have tons of different kinds of races, and
yes, they do.
You know, the various marinas around the Bay Area have their own things, including the San Francisco Yacht Club. That's not the one I'm thinking of. It's the one in San Francisco.
Golden Gate Yacht Club?
Yeah, no, not the Golden Gate, but the one that has the America's Cup. Anyway, that's just next to the Golden Gate Club. Then you have the Corinthian and the San Francisco and all those.
There are, gosh, I want to say upwards of 60 yacht clubs.
60, really?
In the Bay Area.
Wow.
Yeah. But I... The thing about sailors is that we just had a race in January, and it was called the Three Bridge Fiasco, and the sailors hadn't been able to get out because in the wintertime there's usually no wind, so they wait for the first time to start this. They're jonesing to get out there and race. There was over 352 boats that started this race, and 4 finished.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was because?
No wind.
No wind.
No wind.
Wow.
But they were all out there trying because it's the first race of the season, of the year, and it's a crapshoot, you know.
Well, from what I understand, the Vallejo Yacht Club has won awards year after year for the best club, which takes into consideration, their management, the programs they offer, actively participating in sailing
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So
And the activities that are going on there. We have dinners that are every Friday nights. We have cruise-ins where other clubs come in and they spend the night or the weekend at the club, and they usually will have music that is associated with that and a dinner. So it's a fun time had by all, and those are all taken into consideration along with the meetings that we have for the lobbying of the legislature for boating laws, and that's part of the what the PICYA does. So we're having, actually the meeting is this weekend, where the clubs are going to all meet at the Vallejo Yacht Club for that particular
so all
discussion.
the Bay Area clubs will be at the Vallejo Yacht Club?
Yes.
Cool. So also the Vallejo Yacht Club has some famous historical members.
Yes, our most famous, of course, is Jack London.
Wow.
And he had his boat, the Roamer, is what it was called.
Not the rumor?
No,
Oh,
no,
the
no.
Roamer?
Roamer.
Okay.
And Jack was our member there for, I want to say about 8 years until his death. But he kept his boat out there, and he sailed around the bay in the very waters that we're in right now. So, yeah, he was one of the most famous ones.
Yeah, and there's no correlation between being a yacht club member and dying prematurely. That just happened to happen to him, right?
It did. But
also, some of the other club members are famous in their own right for their sailing prowess.
yes,
I know at least one guy, there's a race from the Bay Area to Hawaii on an annual basis,
yes.
and I think this gentleman won that at least one time with his crew.
I believe that you're talking about Jack Better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he has. That is a race that takes place every year, and it depends on the size of the boat. You can do it in anywhere between 12 and 18 days out there on the water.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had one member, took him the better part of a little over 18 days because he got demasted. But he was sailing a 24-foot sailboat by himself.
By himself?
By himself.
Wow.
Yeah, Reuben Gabriel.
I just can't imagine being stuck in the middle of the Pacific like that, but...
Well, he did it not only once, he did it twice, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's also, I guess, a race up to Alaska, and a lot of people single-hand that one.
Right.
I actually was on a boat. I brought a boat up from Long Beach heading for San Francisco one time, and this guy was our skipper. And unfortunately, we had to stop in Morro Bay. But this guy used to single-hand to Alaska.
Well, there is
I
a...
can't imagine that.
Oh, well, there's a group of people, they're called the Single-Handed Sailing Society. And they are...
It's not just for amputees.
No. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
Single-handed being that you're running the ship by yourself. And you're the only person on that boat. And there are quite a few of them that they'll do they'll circumnavigate the globe by themselves.
Wow.
We've got one, actually, he's down near the Solomon Islands right now. And he took off he's got a ferrous cement boat that he built in his backyard, and he's been sailing it all over the world for many, many years.
Then another race that's popular in latitude 38, among latitude 38 aficionados, is the Baja Haha.
Ah, yes. The big party.
Yeah, the party race. So
Yes.
it runs a gamut from people that are incredibly serious and technically oriented to do the single-handing with autopilot and all that.
Yes.
And then the guys in the Baja Haha would probably be on the other end of the spectrum.
There are a few serious racers for the ha-ha, but most of them are there for the party.
Yeah, and so Latitude 38 is a very famous magazine,
Yes,
and Vallejo has been mentioned in it on many different occasions.
yes.
So that's a cool thing. So if people want to see Latitude 38, it's for free down at the Yacht Club, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Another benefit
Of being a member,
Club
or
membership.
yes, absolutely.
So if somebody wanted to become a member of the Yacht Club, how would they do that? Is there a website or a phone number?
Yes,
or
you can go to vyc.org, and
yachtclubvyc.org.
yes, and on that site there'll be a banner across the top that gives information on how to contact us. It'll have our newsletter, which is called The Binnacle. That's available in there. There are events that are listed, and there's also a membership section there as well that you can click on, and it will tell you how to become a member. And it's basically coming down to the club. We'll bring you in, introduce you around. We get to know you, you get to know us, and you get 2 sponsors, which is not hard to do, and $65 a month.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
that's all right. That's okay. But the other thing is the club has a full bar and a lounge area.
Yes,
It has a full kitchen.
yes.
It has an area for meetings or a dance floor. I mean, it's a great place.
And we do have it available for wedding receptions, for special events. We've had several political events down there where the candidates have launched their campaigns. We've had memorials down there occasionally as well. But it also has the deck on the back, which allows us to see the beautiful sunsets that we have here, which are incredible. It's also a part of the Waterfront Weekend Festival.
Oh, yeah.
We were running the chili cook-off at that particular spot. And the Waterfront Weekend Festival is another one that people can come down and participate in. And it spreads all the way from the Yacht Club to the Marina Green there. And it runs 2 days, and that's the first week in October.
Plus, there's a lot of really incredible people that are members down there.
There are a lot of
At least
incredible
one
people.
that I know of.
Well, yourself as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to keep that under wraps.
It's out now.
So we have a few minutes left, and I was going to kind of go back to the printing business. What kinds of things do you print at your location on Sonoma Boulevard?
Well, we're one of the very unique printing shops that are left. We do everything from digital printing to letterpress printing, foiling and embossing. We have large presses that do big sheets, and we have small presses that do small ones. But we have the capability of doing everything in-house, and so that keeps us
Saves money.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yes, very. And it also gives us control over the product, so we don't have to worry about things coming back from subcontractors that are below par. So having all those operations or all those different types of printing under one roof just is not left. There are no shops like that left in the Bay Area. Most of them specialize in offset printing. But like I said, we have letterpress, offset, digital, the foiling and embossing aspect of it. Those are all things that, taken by themselves, can be separate shops, but we put them all in one.
Plus you do scratch pads.
We do scratch pads.
Yeah. And you do signs too, don't you?
Yes, we do.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a one-stop printing shop.
Yes, if you're running a political campaign, we're a one-stop shop for you.
Cool.
But we also do the signs that the city uses that say no parking, for this, or
Oh,
this
really?
vehicle has to be removed. But whatever you can put on paper, we do.
Except for printing money.
Except for printing money.
They try to
Yes.
stay away from that.
I think every printer has entertained that idea at one time, but most of us have realized that that's not the thing to do. But I did have a customer here years back, because we do foiling and embossing for the trade. We get work from other printers, and this printer was sending us all a lot of work, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And a couple of weeks later, the paper salesman comes in and he says, well, did you hear what happened? I'm like, no. He says, well, he was printing 20s and got caught. So, yeah, not a good thing to do.
And well, I'll ask you for his number later.
No,
Probably at
it's
San
probably
Quentin.
San Quentin, yes.
Yeah, right. Well, it always goes fast when you're having a great interview, and we're out of time.
Okay.
But really appreciate you being here today. And I know that your company is very generous when it comes to supporting the community, and I know the community members appreciate that, and everything else you do for Vallejo. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And we all have to work to make Vallejo a better place,
All right.
which it is.
What no better way to end the show.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
And with that, that's all the time we have for today. Our show airs at 6 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Comcast 27. Also, AT&T Uverse 99, and streaming live video at vcat.tv. Come see us again next time.